Happy New Year, wonderful people. We are glad to have all of you here with us in the year 2024. This is Eye on Port, the program that has been designed to bring Ghana's ports and maritime industry closer to you. It is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Syrian Insurance, Ghana Link, Meridian Port Services and Phoenix Insurance. Eye on Port is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, to begin the year, we decided to go back and bring you a recap of the key events and discussions that transpired in the course of 2023 in our maritime industry. Take a listen. The year 2023 was not short of newsy, informative, and compelling content on Eye on Port. From the development of infrastructural projects to the achievement of major performance milestones and the rollout of debate-provoking national policies, among others, 2023 was a very eventful one in Ghana's maritime industry. Beginning January 1, 2023, the government of Ghana, through the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, scrapped the discount policy on import values of general goods and home delivery values of vehicles during the payment of duties at the various ports and frontiers in Ghana.
Some of these importers or wholesalers are also absorbing the 30% is part of their profit. Now it means that a reduction in the profit levels of these importers. Now are they prepared to swallow that part as part of their profit, or they will have to increase the cost of goods on the market?
Right.
Also, a 110% increment in the rates charged for freight forwarding services in the country was agreed and began implementation. Still in January, the 17th extraordinary session of the General Assembly of the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa, MOCA, was held in Accra, Ghana. In February, GPHA's Marine Operations Unit liaised with the Ghana Navy in an oil spill response drill as part of Ghana's participation in the 2023 edition of Obangami Express, a multinational maritime exercise in the Gulf of Guinea. The first Green Shipping Conference in Africa was held in Accra, Ghana, with high-level participation, including IMO Secretary General Kita Klim. Maritime consultant and legal practitioner Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia made a passionate appeal to government to take a critical look at the development of Ghana's blue economy to provide a more permanent economic buffer to the nation's perennial hardship.
But I believe that maybe if we had focused our minds on the potential of the blue economy and harness that potential, we will not be going to the IMF.
In March, the freight forwarding fraternity kicked against government's intended policy to allow the self-declaring of goods by importers without recourse to customs house agents, demanding clarity.
So what do we do to get into this position? It means that for us, you have to be trained, you have to be certified, you have to be licensed, you have to be bonded, you have to go through all the police checks to make sure that you are fit to do what? Customs business. How are we going to do this now if you want individuals to just go in? Are you going to make it easier for them so that they would avoid all these things so that they can do their clearing?
In efforts to maximize efficiency at the port of Tema, the Meridian Port Services, in collaboration with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, constructed a Harbourcraft jetty at the Terminal 3 in the port of Tema. The Harbourcraft jetty was created primarily to reduce vessel idle time at the terminal in order to improve vessel turnaround time in the port. In April, importers of agro-imports called for government, through the Ministry of Finance, to urgently heed to their request of granting special tax exemption on the importation of their products so they can enjoy some respite in the process to clear their goods from the port. Indeed, later in the year, the Minister of Finance announced that government will grant exemptions on the importation of agricultural machinery and equipment.
Tax exemptions that hitherto were given to the industry on the importation of agricultural inputs was very critical. And listening to the Finance Minister present the budget, and as you rightly mentioned on number 7, I think, point 7, VII.
Yes.
He has mentioned that they will give tax exemptions to agri-inputs, and this came. This was like music to the ears of us, and then the majority of the importers across the country.
Calls for the revival of now defunct state-owned Black Star Line resurfaced on Iron Port.
I have a lot of interest in Ethiopia because I think it's a model for shipping company, national or state shipping company. When you got to Ethiopia in 1964, that's when they started their operation. As you speak today, they have well over 400 vessels. Wow. Ethiopia. Wow. You go online, you see it. They have over 300 cargo vessels. They have about 84 or more oil vessels. How did Ethiopia do it? Transparency, commitment, government support.
In similar fashion, spirited appeals for youth development and employment in the maritime industry were made on the show.
We have graduates that are being churned out, from various institutions, across the country in the shipping industry. The foremost is the Regional Maritime University and all that. And most of the time, you find people, running after you whenever they hear there's an event here or there, trying to get connected and trying to get people to receive their CVs and all that in terms of their quest to get job placements in some of these institutions. I just want to find out from you whether you would want to share with us some of the things that we should be doing in terms of creating jobs to assimilate or to accommodate, so to speak, some of these graduates that we churn out almost on a yearly basis.
Yeah. I think that the first step is to breed a new generation of entrepreneurs in the maritime industry as the next generation of job creators, right? We normally think of it in a limited sense, that we have to have, companies and industries ready to absorb these young people as they graduate. And that is true. But we must also look at breeding entrepreneurs who themselves can also create jobs in blue economy sectors. And that's one of the things that the Gulf of Guinea Maritime Institute is passionate about.
There had just been, conference in
Kenya. Yes.
Yeah. Where it has been, it has been suggested that Ghana, we should start, Africa is going to be the hub for the next generation of seafarers. We expect about 800,000. Please mind that number, 800,000 seafarers.
Yes, from Africa.
From Africa to man the new ships because of the decarbonization of these things. Which means the government, which means there's quite a lot of, potential there.
Absolutely.
Even if we can target 400,000.
Yes.
Okay. At present, Philippines is around 400,000.
Right.
And they are making about 7 billion
every year.
Every year. So we let's say half of it. We should, because I believe we should aim very, very high.
Absolutely.
And if the government can put in the correct, facilities and policies in place, I think we should be able to make that money. It's actually a gold mine.
In March 2023, cruise vessels resumed calling the ports of Ghana following a 4-year break due to COVID-19. Pundits in industry called for the creation of an overarching body that is responsible for the management of Ghana's blue economy.
You need to plan your ocean space and manage it. It will be difficult for one institution like Ghana Maritime Authority, for instance, to take charge of everything. You need to have a coordinating unit that would also be responsible for research and all that, and in planning the use of the ocean space. And that informed the call for having something like a blue economy authority that would be a coordinating unit of all the actors and players within the ocean space so that we would be able to properly harness the resources and exploit them sustainably.
In May, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo commissioned the expanded Elmina Fishing Harbour. Also in May, a taking stock transparency assessment conducted by the Fisheries Transparency Initiative in collaboration with the Center for Maritime Law and Security Africa indicated transparency deficits in Ghana's marine fisheries sector. The Ghana Revenue Authority also announced the introduction of an upfront payment of 12.5% on the customs values of VAT registrable imports at the various entry points of the country. The Ghana Exports Promotion Authority launched the Ghana Trade House in Nairobi, Kenya, as part of initiatives to improve trade relations with East Africa. In June, Peter Amobediako took over from Captain Ebenezer Afezi as the director of the port of Takoradi.
I hand over the head of affairs for Port of Takoradi.
The maiden edition of the National Blue Economy Summit, aimed at mobilizing transformative ocean action to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, was also held in June 2023. In the aftermath of the Blue Economy Summit, experts called for a science-based ocean management approach for Ghana's blue economy.
Currently, we have over 7 universities running oceanography, fisheries, water-related courses in this country. You know, and there's quite a lot of publications and things out there through individual efforts and through collaborations with international partners. But as a nation, we have put very little into research and these vast resources.
Several initiatives to discourage plastic pollution in the marine environment were embarked on by stakeholders in the maritime industry.
A plastic bottle like this will take 450 years, that's what study has shown, to decompose.
The year also saw local manufacturers cry for government intervention in the cost of production in order to be competitive and export.
So now we are uncompetitive because Malaysian oil is cheaper than ours. So that is the reason why every country is doing the same. Benin has done in the past, Sierra Leone has done in the past, and Senegal has done now. So we also beg the government that they should now today in Ghana the product is from Ivory Coast and Togo, just because they can bring without duty to Ghana, no? And other countries, whereas when we want to go, we are faced with this barrier of extra taxes.
What we have seen here means that they are producing under capacity. Why is it so? Because the enabling environment is simply not there for them, and it is not the making of the trader that this enabling environment is not there. We have to make deliberate effort by government. Government should do a deliberate effort to make sure that they are reviving the dying industries, as we've seen in this company. A company that used to employ about over 1,000 employees are now employing only about 200.
Experts continue to make a good case for local marine insurance.
When you import goods and your container comes, or you are offloading your bags of rice from a vessel, you'll notice the loss or damage in country. So once you notice loss or damage in country, it is easier for you when you have insured locally to walk to your insurance company and take your claim. Again, you are buying, anytime you are buying goods a step further in any of the Incoterms, and the seller is doing the obligation for you, it means they are adding their margins. And that is what people don't realize.
The Ghana Revenue Authority later in the year announced some amendments to the Income Tax Act and the Excise Duty Act.
We've noticed that the other soft drinks equally are harmful. Contain sugar. And the intake of them cause a lot of problems, health problems, you know. The non-communicable diseases is on the rise, you know, diabetes, hypertension, and the rest. So I think we have expanded the scope, as I said.
In August, GPHA reopened the Fish Market Hall in Tema after 7 months of refurbishment. Similarly, in Takoradi, GPHA commissioned a workshop facility for the Ghana Inshore Fishermen Association. Environmental and social impact assessments for the keenly monitored Port of Keta project began in September. Following India's ban on the export of non-basmati white rice, pundits had some advice for government.
Production is the beginning. I do think that we have capacity to expand production. There are already government initiatives that have gone on, planting for food and jobs, that went on for a while. There's been subsidy for rice. Farmer Morrison has mentioned initiative to support multiplication of seeds and things like that for rice sector. I think those should be pursued aggressively. Those other support services that are needed to drive rice production should also continue. I'm talking about access to finance, that banks and all kinds of financial institutions should begin to look at innovative ways to support the rice production industry.
To retool the port of Tema and boost productivity, GPHA added a set of 27 tele-trucks and 2 cranes to its fleet. This was strengthened by 2 80-ton state-of-the-art tugboats, which were named after 2 former directors general. Maritime Port Services will later on take delivery of 3 ship-to-shore and 12 rubber-tied gantry cranes at the Terminal 3. During the commissioning ceremony, President Nana Akufo-Addo cut sword for the second phase of Tema Port Expansion Project, which encompasses the paving of an expansive 270,000 square meter area, expanding the terminal's footprint from 100 hectares to an impressive 127 hectares. Chief Executive Officer of MPS, Mohammed Samara, in an exclusive with Iron Port, revealed that Tema will be the first port of call in West Africa for major shipping lines.
With this new service of CMA CGM, we're going to see some big transshipment because this mega ship is going to come to Tema, cannot go to the smaller ports, going to go to Likki in Nigeria, then from there to Abidjan, and then out. So basically there's 3 ports of call. So the other ports, where are they going to tranship for? Tema will be the ideal situation because we are the first port of call. We have the draft, we have the capabilities that the ship can lighten up in Tema.
Awesome.
Meanwhile, work has begun in the port of Takoradi for what will become the oil and gas terminal. In September, President Nana Akufo-Addo launched Ghana's National Integrated Maritime Strategy, which seeks to map out workable solutions to the industry's problems. October was a very eventful month in Ghana's maritime industry. GPHA led a massive delegation on a 5-day trade mission to the capital of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority announced some measures to cushion economic operators in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger who import through the ports of Ghana.
So the 5 days rent-free period was a problem for them. They've been complaining all this year. But because we want our partnership to grow, we have considered and we have made it 10 days now.
Following that, we found out that some of the challenges that have bedeviled the transit trade for many years remain.
They brought out a number of issues. These issues generally centered around the cost associated, delays and cost associated with the delays in the enforcement of our road traffic governance regulations by the state institutions.
Right.
In specific terms, they mentioned the issues of multiplicity of barriers, police barriers, as a major concern. In one of our conversations, one participant even mentioned as many as 80 barriers on the corridor from Tema to Paga. And this is a major concern. They also brought up the issues of laissez-passer, that this process normally takes too long.
In a related development, following the obstacles that emerged out of the military coup in Niger, experts called for non-disruptive interventions at the Niger border in promotion of cross-border trade.
Because, trade is about creating economic opportunities and bringing in the necessities and then creating this kind of virtuous cycle where you can create economic opportunity for people, and then you can grow your economy, and then you can grow your way into prosperity. But now, because of border closures in some countries across West Africa for various reasons, maybe in this case we're talking about Niger, but a while ago there was a pandemic that shut all of the borders within West Africa. Throughout the past 3 years, there were other countries where there was destabilization of the regimes, and then the borders were closed for a while. So this certainly affects the type of trade, and it also affects the situation not only from a trade dimension. We also have to think about the food security dimension. We have to think about the economic opportunities, especially at the border communities.
In that same month, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Port of Amsterdam International signed an MOU for the two parties to deepen and broaden their cooperation and trade ties. The Port of Takoradi successfully berthed and record-loaded a 295-meter manganese cape-sized vessel at the dry bulk terminal with a draft of 16 meters and a length of 800 meters. Later on, the navies of Spain, France, Italy, and India visited the port of Tema for a maritime exercise. There, the ambassador of the EU to Ghana, Ershad Razali, disclosed that piracy in the Gulf of Guinea has reduced by 90%.
It's about fighting piracy, and the figures are very, very, very good, because the figures of incident have lost decreased 90%. This is as well to support countries like Ghana to fight against irregular fishing, because we know how the fish is depleted due to irregular fishing.
The ambassador joined Iron Port to share more about Europe's support in the fight against maritime insecurities in the Gulf of Guinea. That same month, the leadership of the regional maritime university told Iron Port about a $146 million modernization project for the school. Later in the year, government suspended an import restriction bill to allow for broader consultation following general disapproval. Traders shared their thoughts on Iron Port.
Immediate reaction was that this is very good news, or for that matter, victory to the common man. It is victory to that teacher, victory to that laborer, victory to the mason, victory to the one the politician called the grassroots person. Because clearly, if this particular LI was passed, it is the grassroots that would have been seriously affected by the rise in prices of goods as a result of the monopoly that would have been created by the LI.
In December, 7 trains were transshipped through the port of Tema to Congo, demonstrating the port's capability to handle unconventional cargo. Also in December, the president launched Ghana's electric vehicle policy at the UN Climate Change Conference in Dubai. The policy details strategies Ghana is taking to encourage the importation and use of electric vehicles in the country. All right, viewers, that was a summary of the key events and discussions that transpired on our show in the course of last year. And we hope you took some notes in anticipation for what we have for you this year. Now let us go on break and then we'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really? Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, boss, fill my tank with Super XP Ron 95.
Blow up with Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Goyle.
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Oh, cut him. Hey, go for
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Goyle Super XP Ron 95. Goyle, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah, our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back, viewers. Now, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, before the end of the year, held a Thanksgiving service to praise God for all the blessings in 2023 and pray for more for the year 2024. The management and staff of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority have once again ended the year with a Thanksgiving service to celebrate God's faithfulness all year round. The praise-filled ceremony was also an opportunity for the workforce to seek God's mercies and guidance in the year 2024. The director of Port Tema, Sandro Poku, said, despite an economically challenging year, the Port Authority was able to rise above the storm.
In fact, the first 6 months were very, very low. As at January 2022, January to November, we had done 18.3 million tons of cargo. But this year, as at November ending, we've done 16.9 million tons of cargo. It has been difficult, but in all that we say thank you to God, but because GPHA did not sink, we are still afloat.
The director of Port revealed that the authority has procured new machinery as part of initiatives to retool the Port of Tema to improve productivity.
Our tele-trucks came this year, but in January, by the second week, we would have 2 more new restackers, and then 8 more will follow.
She urged Port staff to give off their best and prioritize safety in the new year. The Thanksgiving service also saw awards given to participants of the Interdepartmental Christmas Carols competition, where the Internal Audit Department placed first. Let us now turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international shipping and maritime related news. AD Ports Group has signed a definitive concession agreement with the Red Sea Ports Authority for the development and operation of a multi-purpose terminal at Savaga Seaport. This collaboration will see an investment of $200 million over 3 years, aimed at developing a state-of-the-art facility within the strategic location of the Red Sea, and will be the first internationally operated port serving the Upper Egypt region. The total investment will cover superstructure, equipment, buildings and utilities within the concession area to create advanced facilities and leading-edge infrastructure. The terminal, spanning approximately 810,000 square meters, will feature a 1,000-meter quay wall and will handle diverse cargo types, including dry bulk, liquid bulk, containerized cargo, and ro-ro. This project is expected to bring substantial economic impact with cost savings and efficiency improvements to traders and businesses in the region. The terminal is on track to become operational by 2025, according to AD Ports. According to English language daily newspaper China Daily, citing data from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, China continues to assert its dominance on the global shipbuilding scene. China's shipbuilding output surged by 12.3% year-on-year, reaching 38.09 million deadweight tons in the first 11 months of 2023, capturing over 50% of the world market. New orders followed suit, witnessing an impressive 63.8% year-on-year increase, securing a commanding 65.9% share globally. Industry insiders project China's shipbuilding prowess to persist into 2024, particularly in the export sector, driven by the rising demand for vessels powered by alternative fuels.
It's now time for our Word of the Day segment, where we introduce words, jargons, phrases that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. Today we'll tell you what we mean by multi-purpose terminal.
A multi-purpose terminal can be defined as a complex of infrastructure, equipment, and services which offers a combined and flexible response to the servicing demand of certain types of vessel and cargo, permitting the optimum utilization of manpower and equipment.
Let us now take a look at the schedule of vessels that have berth in the ports of Tema and Takoradi and at the anchorages of both ports, as well as those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. This is where we conclude today's edition of Iron Port. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Iron Port content can be found on our YouTube channel, Iron Port. Please subscribe, like, and give us feedback. And thank you for watching, and stay with us all year round as we bring you reliable news and informative content.